All right, here we are. He is live again. Man, it's a Saturday morning. Uh, it's 8 a.m. So, yeah. Uh, and there's quite a bit to talk about. But like I've been saying for a couple days now, I feel like practice this format. Uh, yeah. So I'm not even sure if this stuff is just supposed to post live or excuse me, post after I start. I don't even know. So whatever. But I have a lot of things to talk about. Emotiva. We could talk about that. There's some UFC fights tonight, only one of which I care about. And we do have a viewer. Good morning, viewer. It's 8 a.m. Uh, two. Oh, that's great. Well, who else is up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning? I thought I was the only one. Had a long week this week, y'all, and worked hard. I hope y'all's week was good. Uh, I was moving really slow last night when I went to bed, and I feel a lot better this morning. Oh my God, morning, my man. CG in the house, man, fellas. Hope y'all are well, dude. Hope y'all are well. Um, yeah. So I think we can start off with uh, what would you guys like to talk about? I got a few things in mind. Before we start, let me give you a little nugget, guys. Okay, I'm actually going to record this one in like some short or put it up, but I got this new thing going, the little nuggies. Here's my little nuggie for Saturday morning, fellas. You may have heard me say this before, but some days you're the bug, and some days you're the windshield. Boom! There's your Saturday little nuggie. Uh, but anyway, we actually have a good bit we can discuss. Like I said, Emotiva. I want to go Emotiva right now, actually, because I called into the Daily High Five podcast. Those guys, Joe and Tell, Aaron's Audio Corner, Techno Dad. They were the only ones on the show at the time, but Youth Man wasn't on there. But I called in and spoke to them a little bit about their arms. Oh, okay, let's try to share this screen again so we can. Is that how you do it? I don't need that message again, sir. Okay, let's try this. So I think I'm sharing, um, and I asked them what they thought about the Basics MC1, and Chana, he's up on everything, man. He knew about it. Joe and Tell, I'm not sure if he knew about it or not. He did look it up, but uh, I think those guys, and I love those guys. I think they're missing a real opportunity here. I happen to believe that most people in YouTube land are probably just like me. They work hard. We don't have all this money to just throw around on home theaters or whatever else. So for me, the MC1 is huge, and I think that those guys at Daily High Five, they're missing this, and I think this could be big for obviously a lot of people just like me. Now, um, they posted a small video clip of it of the call in about the MC1, which I really appreciate. Let me give that shout out to Joe and Tell, Chana D, excuse me, Techno Dad, and Aaron's Audio Corner, man. I was pretty cool to see that on YouTube, right? Um, this morning. So I see one of the comments was keeping up with the Joneses. Shout out to you, brother. He's everywhere in the home AV world. Like he's in all comment sections, which is pretty cool. But he had kind of said that it was a no go for him because no XLRs. Uh, and I don't know. There's two right here, right? But they're for the subs. Obviously, he wants XLRs everywhere. I'm sure. Um, if you hear a little kitten running around, he is I don't know. What is he? 14 weeks now? Something like that. So yeah, if you hear something just darting around, that would be him. His name is Duck because he's an ugly duck. But anyway, if I can get him over here, y'all want to see Duck? Hang on. Come here, Ducky. Oh, no, maybe not. Ducky is content to run around. Oh, okay, here's Ducky. Call him a little ugly duck. He's a tuxedo kitty, but he's a good boy. And we do have 3 dogs. 2 of them are pretty large, and one of them's a plot hound and a born hunter. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, but now we do have the animals living amongst each other. After about 3 or 4 weeks, we finally started to let our guard down. I'm always rambling. Let me. Okay, so I just wanted to show this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I wanted to show that there is 2 XLRs here on the back, and I also understand that. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. I didn't even share that screen. That was so dumb. See, I'm learning. Oh, let me. Does Strickland win tonight? Boom. Wow. Tempo. Uh, yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. I totally jacked up, and I'm gonna get to that. But let me show you this. The 2 XLRs. This is what I was trying to say. Keeping up with the Joneses, obviously, he wants XLRs everywhere. I get that, man. I think that's a thing. Um, for some people, and I can agree with it. But let's talk about XLRs for a minute. So, what's the difference between an XLR and a regular analog? Well, the XLR carries a positive, a negative, as well as a ground. So that's where you're. I think that serves 2 purposes. I guess if lightning strikes the house, or if you have a surge, um, I'm guessing your speakers won't fry if they're connected via XLR because of the ground. But at any rate, your house should be grounded, right? So uh, who knows? Let's get off of that because we want to talk. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do, buddy. Does Sean Strickland win tonight, then go to Izzy, or does he have to fight the winner of Cannonier fight? Yeah, I actually think that. I actually think you're right on with that, CGI. I do think he has to fight the winner. Uh, Cannonier is fighting. That's a big fight, though, right? Oh man, who is he fighting? Jared Cannonier, and let's find out. We'll find out in just a second. But let's talk about his Strickland fight tonight. Um, you know, I'm a big Strickland fan right now. I think this guy's a savage. Brunson. Oh man. Oh my lord. Yeah, that's a big fight. And I'm gonna give that to Cannonier, dude. Honestly, I think Cannonier. He hit the scene. He beat Anderson, and then everybody was like, "Oh, this is the new guy." And it's kind of toned down since then. But if you've noticed, like Cannonier hasn't had a lot of fights. Not a lot of people wanted to fight him. He's had some other things go on. I really think that that guy is in his prime right now. I believe Jared Cannonier is around early to mid 30s. But if obviously he he is good. Yeah, he beat Anderson Silva, albeit an Anderson Silva that was no longer on PEDs, which he was his entire career, his entire UFC career, and I'm sure in Pride, maybe for like recovery purposes or something. I don't want to touch the Pride era because he was 100. He was very tall and skinny then, but he takes 2 years away and then comes to the UFC. Man, I'm getting off on all the wrong stuff. Sorry. I love talking MMA. Strickland, um, I can see Jack. I just don't know how good. Does anybody know how good Strickland um, wrestles? Because I always only see forward pressure from him, and I don't know how good of a wrestler. That's the one thing I'm worried about. I think this fight tonight will. I think this will if he's able to stop the takedowns or out wrestle Hermanson, Yeah, I think he has to fight Cannonier, or uh, maybe he does skip the line because he's really popular right now. Strickland's on a five white fight win streak right now. Um, does he beat Izzy? Here's the hard answer: no, I don't think so. Um, I do not like Izzy. I loved Izzy when he came into the sport. I absolutely loved Izzy. Shout out to More Plates, More Dates. Because when he came to the ring with that droopy titty, I knew the deal immediately. And that's the Paulo Costa fight, if I recall. And all he did leading up to that fight was talk trash about Paulo Costa and PEDs, which, hey, two things can be true at once, dummy. You know what I mean? Like, Izzy just looks like such a dummy to me because, yeah, of course, Paulo could be on PEDs. He sure looks like it, but you can be too. And you did all this trash talk running up to the fight about how PEDs don't make a difference, and then he comes to the ring with a droopy titty. So we know that that's gynecomastia. We know that that's that's a byproduct of PED use. So, but here's what I want to say about Izzy. As far as striking is concerned, in the 185 class, like there's no equal. There's no equal, man. Um, it's just too good. And if you've been paying attention, the UFC signed the last fighter or only fighter. I'm not sure which distinction it is to knock out Izzy. I believe he did it in a championship fight as well, championship kickboxing match. Izzy's like 64-4 in kickboxing, I believe. Incredible record, and he was incredible over there. But I really dislike him now. You can't take shots at people, for pretty clear PED use, and then come to the ring with a droopy pectoral, droopy titty. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, so I don't think Strickland beats Izzy right now. I just don't. But again, we don't. We need to see more maturation from Strickland. What we know from Strickland is no shit. Is he really? That's crazy. Is that true? CG, my guy. Coming with the facts, dude. I did not realize that. So yeah, I was just gonna actually talk about Strickland's forward pressure. It's like guys can't even shoot on him very effectively because they're moving backwards, and he does a couple of really cool things. I actually saw Strickland do this 2 fights ago, I think 3 fights ago, and I don't remember what fight it was. It may have been, oh God, who's the really good kicker in that division? Oh man, he won the show, I believe, or came runner up on the show. Can't believe I can't think of his name right now. I love that guy, Uriah Hall. I believe it's Uriah Hall fight. So Strickland, he'll throw a jab or a hook and it'll miss. And this is something that I've been doing on bags and in training and mitts for a decade plus. You miss that shot, okay? You miss that hook, you miss that jab, just come back. It's like a reverse hammer fist. But Strickland will do this in a fight, and it keeps his flow going. So he does this reverse hammer fist. Now look, let's get it not get it twisted. I don't think he's hitting with his knuckle. He's not doing this. It's kind of like a knife edge strike. What we're trying to hit with is the meat of the palm right here. So I think that's what Strickland's doing when he misses that jab. He's the only fight. I see one other guy do it after the Strickland fight, and I've been wondering for years why these guys don't do it. Here's another thing UFC fighters never do in the UFC. There's a front snap kick, or in a Muay Thai, it would be called the front push kick, where you extend your lead leg to your opponent's torso or belly and push them away. Or if you're, say, Taekwondo, it's a front snap kick. It's very hard. Guys, all you MMA fighters out here, you're standing in your guard, and you have these weapons right here. And I've never seen one person in MMA block a front snap kick or a Muay Thai push kick, if you will, by simply dropping it. That's it. All you would have to do is drop your elbow a couple of inches. And once that person's shin makes contact with the weapon, this is called a damaging block. Once that weapon hits the shin, they're not going to throw that front kick anymore. They're just not going to do it. So I want to give Strickland a lot of credit for his reverse hammer punch technique, which to my eye, I have never seen in MMA until Sean Strickland. Again, Sean Strickland's forward pressure, it limits the ability for guys to shoot takedowns. And even great strikers, okay, Chuck Liddell was a great counter striker. Anderson Silva, a great striker, as well as counter striker. I just don't think that the level of counter strikers in MMA are that good historically either. But there are some guys that can do it really well. But we see this deficiency in MMA, if you will, where we don't have a whole lot of counter striker knockout guys. One recent guy that comes to mind is Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley can definitely do it. I hate to say this. He's not a counter guy. He's not. So I'm not even going to say it. Okay, I was going to say Conor McGregor, but he is. Has 3 losses. I did know that all of his or that his losses. I thought he would have had at least one sprinkled in there. One loss at 185. But thank you so much, CG, for clarifying that, because, like I say, he was cutting a lot of weight. That's a big man. Also, when I look at Strickland's physique, okay, so I don't see jacked up, huge muscles, blah, blah, blah. Tone cut, ripped six-pack and pectorals and deltoids and traps for that. I don't see any of that. But here's what I see. I bet you if you touch Sean Strickland, here we go. I like marshmallows. So I bet you if you touch Sean Strickland, it ain't nothing like this marshmallow here. You see, you touch that old marshmallow, and that thing is nice and squishy and soft. We got some fighters like that in the UFC, y'all. Okay? I'm not hating on anybody. One of my favorite fighters of all time is, why can't I think of his name? Roy. I'm sorry. I can't believe I can't think of his name. Roy Nelson, Mullah guy. That dude looks like, if you see him out in the street, he looks like a guy that'll, doesn't look like anything, but he'll just walk the dog on you for 3 rounds. You know, he's an incredible athlete, right? Sean Strickland is like so solid, man. He's got a density to him. So I don't know what he does as far as workout or cardio or train. I don't know any of that stuff. But he's got like a farm man's physique, which means he's just out here doing hard work every day. And while he may not look like the bodybuilder, well, the proof's in the pudding. And Strickland will tell you he's not a knockout fighter, but I don't know that that's the case, because we never see Strickland load up. I don't believe I've ever seen Sean Strickland strike somebody at 100%. Again, I'll reference a guy like Chuck Liddell. He said one time, I never throw 100% into any one strike because I know the knockout's coming. I don't have to knock anybody out in one punch. I just know it's coming. So the consistency and the power is there. And that's how Strickland wears down guys. But you watch him throw punches, it's a lot like a Diaz, honestly, like a Nick or a Nate Diaz, man. It's never 100%. So it's very interesting. Look at us talking all this MMA, man. Yeah, I love MMA, man. BJ guy he beefed with. Was that the Allen guy? That kid's actually on this card. He just took the fight on a one. I think like he's had 40 hours notice. He flew in. He had 48 hours notice for this fight. He's fighting Sam Alvey. Sam's guy fell out, but the same guy Strickland beat at 185. I don't know. I don't know. This was a little while ago. Orlando. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Orlando does remind me of a Roy Nelson. Yeah, I bet you that dude does have cardio for days, and he's got a belly for days too. So yeah, yeah, badass, but an elite athlete. That's exactly right. And those are the kind of I love that dude. I love it when we see that guy. Um, let's see. I'm counting, but this isn't. Hey man, I aren't we all really? To be fair, I've just been watching MMA um, since the UFC one aired. But shortly after that, I fell in love with Pride. Uh, as we know, Pride kicked off in like 2001, but the UFC was not very active in that time. And I mean, I guess they were, but the UFC, we had the first four events, and then it was like a long break, and then it was like a couple more events. I think we went up to like Battle of the Bayou, which was like UFC 13 or something. But then it was like I don't know. We're all a little bit casual viewers, man, and I'll tell you why I respect mixed martial arts so much. I have not watched the first football game this year for reasons I'm not going to get into, but I view those two sports as kind of you can look at them in the same way. Um, ooh, CG, we're getting into that right now. In American football and MMA, you can have the best team in the world face the worst team in the world, the best fighter in the world face the worst fighter in the world. And on any given day, the worst fighter or worst team can win. And it's all about bringing the correct game plan. It's all about the strategy. It's about IQ, man, fighter IQ, being good under pressure. There's so many things that go into MMA, and it's not just about the top athlete, who can jump the highest, who's the strongest. And if that were the case, then, Brock Lesnar would have won every fight he ever fought, or, any number of guys you want to name. But let's get to this awesome question right here. So, because I've been watching the sport for so damn long, excuse me, I can tell you that fighter pay hasn't been good um, for quite some time, for the entire time. Honestly, that's not necessarily true. In the early UFC, those guys, they did, I would say for the time, like a Tank Abbott bringing home, 30, 40,000 a fight or whatever it was, 45,000 way back in the day, UFC eights and stuff like, Dawn the Predator Fryer, they were probably making some decent money for the day in the brand new scheme of it. But now in 2021, and for the last, I'd say, decade or more, these fighters have been paid terribly. They're, I believe they're listed as subcontractors. So they don't have this. It gets really weird because the fighters under contract do have some type of health insurance. If they're hurt in a fight, it's automatically covered. I believe if you're good with the UFC, if they like you and you get hurt in training, they'll cover it. But if you're just a guy and you signed a new contract, say it's 7, 8 fight deal, which is a terrible thing to do. That's another way the UFC keeps their fighters, like Francis Ngannou, hamstrung in a terrible contract. We all know Francis Ngannou is one of the biggest cash cows in the UFC, and there's probably two or three of them. There's John Jones, Conor McGregor, Francis Ngannou, and soon to be Paddy the Baddy. As well, what's his name? 35 division, Sean O'Malley. He's going to be a superstar as well, man. So, but right now, Ngannou probably is the biggest cash cow they have. So let me get back to pay. Ngannou is also fighting. I've said this before. He's also fighting for other people's pay. He's not just fighting for his own. He wants the UFC fighters to be covered, health insurance, like every day, always. So when I go out here and I work for a big company corporation, and after my 90-day period, and the company, says I'm a permanent employee, I'm granted health insurance. And that health insurance is good when I'm at home, when I'm at work, doesn't matter. If I break my arm on the beach, I'm covered. So I can't tell you all the particulars of the UFC's health insurance plan, but they do have the PI, which is huge for fighters. Dana White and the UFC do a lot of things for fighters. I'm not going to lie and say they don't. They do a lot of, they give a lot of bonus checks, man, that people just don't know about. Lots of times on these cards, they'll announce, the fight of the night bonus and the or performance bonus and like submission bonus, whatever. But a lot of fighters actually end up getting bonuses on those cards, especially if it's a really big card and the card is phenomenal and does well. The UFC and Dana White are known for giving out lots of bonuses to those guys on the cards, even the undercards. I said all those good things, but to be fair, their track record with fighters is terrible. So when you take a fighter, you say, "Hey, like Francis Ngannou, we're going to lock you in. We're going to put you in a 7-fight contract, 8-fight contract. We're going to pay you." Oh man, I don't know what it was. I thought it was around $100,000 a fight. But when you make that champion, you automatically get a bump in pay, right? So I think it's like 250 to show, 200 if you win, or maybe yeah. So that's about 450 right there. Then you will get a part of the pay per view buys, but it just doesn't make any sense anymore. I think the UFC, they'll put a fighter like Francis in a long term contract, a 7-8 fight contract, and they're ironclad, dude. They can't get out. GSP has never fought since he retired, and he's wanted to, but that UFC contract just won't allow it to happen. I don't know why they did what they did with Conor McGregor. I just can't. I mean, obviously it's a money thing, but they're not going to let Francis do that. That's my estimation. Next year, you will not see the UFC say Francis can go fight Tyson Fury and will co-promote. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I don't believe they're going to give him as much money as he wants. UFC fighter pay is terrible. Let me tell you, one of the worst things they ever did is sign the Reebok deal. The Reebok deal took sponsorship away from the fighters. Up until this point, a fighter could wear a patch on his shorts and make $40,000 on a fight night, not even a pay-per-view. Matt Matrione highlighted this in his career, in his early career. He could walk out he could have a patch on his shorts that was worth 25,000 or a patch that was worth 40,000. You know what I mean? It's like whatever the sponsor wanted to pay. The UFC was cool that then they could hang these banners behind the fighter, and they would have all these sponsorships on them. All that was money. They signed the Reebok deal. They took that away from the fighters, and for the whole entire week of any given fight, like a pay-per-view or live event, it's called Fight Week. Those fighters were not allowed to wear any sponsorship gear. They had to wear their Reebok uniform. Now, Reebok is gone, but they now have a deal with, I don't know who, but it's the same type of deal. The champions have a little bit different wear, and they may be allowed to wear a small patch, Monster Energy or something like that, but they're not even getting that money. So if you look at the UFC ring and see how I did, my friend, and you see how littered with advertisements it is. They took the individuality away from fighters when they gave them uniforms. MMA is it's not a team sport. It is a team sport, excuse me. But when we look in the ring, it's like a tennis match. When you're watching a tennis match, you don't see the coach and the trainers, the partners that these people play tennis with all day long. No, you just see one person on that team. Okay, it's the same thing in MMA. You don't see everyone else around that person while they're inside the cage. But that walk to and fro the cage allows them to show a little bit of themselves. The music, what they were wearing. I mean, I'm old enough to remember. Man, he kind of went off the deep end there. Jason started with an M. I love that guy, but he used to wear the mask. I do the dances with the ring lady. This is all pride, y'all. This is dream. This is pre-UFC, and that stuff was great. I did see Jones tweet last night. It's very interesting to me that didn't Jones just tweet like a couple of days ago after the Gone and Ngannou fight that he just wasn't interested. He was like, okay, that's cool. And then he immediately tweets about Stipe. And people have been calling for the Stipe fight a long time, guys. I don't think that's a fight at all. Stipe's had so many wars in the ring, y'all. He's punch drunk. That's probably bad to say, but I think he's half a step slower. He's missing a few more brain cells. And his training schedule has been so off and on for the last 2+ years because of whatever's been going on out here in the state he lives in and what they do. That I think Jones destroys him, honestly. And we have to remember that John Jones has a new body now. And it's, let me be clear, I do not like John Jones. I don't like what he's all about. I was with him in the beginning and I was riding with him. But it's been quite some years before I respected John Jones inside or as a person outside the ring. Sorry, I feel like I have a hair or kitty cat hair or something in my throat. Ooh, well, yeah, there you go. I think Stipe is an easy fight for Jones and an incredible legacy booster to have on his resume. Totally, yes. A win over Stipe plus a heavyweight strap requirement. Forget about it. Go conversation over. Yo, dude, I'm like, that's such a good um, CG. We might need to have you on the show, brother. Like, that's a really good observation, dude. I can really appreciate that. Um, CG, you can email me at Home Theater Joe. Uh, let me just see what it is. Let me make sure I'm telling you the right email address. Yeah, Home Theater Joe 81 at gmail.com. Email me, dude. And that's a really that was a great perspective there. Great observation. Yeah, I think we're going to have to start having two different goat conversations, though. There's going to be like the PED goat, which everybody's going to be in that category. I think we really, in all seriousness, we're going to have to separate eras. There's the modern era of MMA, and then there's, I would say the earlier era MMA. And those are two just totally different things. And I think Pride FC, that's in another stretch. That's in a whole different. You're talking about the best competitors in the world, and every single one of them is running around jacked up, like to the gills on steroids. So when we talk about extreme level of competition, Pride FC was the highest level of competition I believe we've ever seen. And the UFC it's getting close to there because all their athletes are on PEDs now. But yeah, over there it was encouraged. They liked it. La la la. Let's see. I think he should defend once or twice, then get out of there about 37 years old. Yeah, for sure, dude. I actually think John can have much more of a career than that because he has not taken damage, dude. The most damage I think I've ever seen John Jones take. All right, I take that back. Alexander Gustafsson, obviously, and Reyes, man. Reyes put it on him, dude. I think Reyes won that fight, to be honest with you. John Jones the only undefeated fight pre and post USADA. Well, I think that it's just like Anderson Silva though. If we think Anderson Silva just did PEDs like the time he got caught, he came when he was fighting in Pride. He fought at their middleweight, which was 170 pounds, and he was like just 6'4" and skinny as a rail, man. 2 years go by, he shows up in the UFC at well over 220, walking around 230, 240 pounds, something like that, whatever it is. And he cuts weight to get down to 205. And his voice got higher. It's just so Jones was taking PEDs. Jones was snorting cocaine and drinking liquor before the Gustafsson fight, I think. Like that dude's a complete savage, man. But he is probably a piece of trash. Yeah, dude. I can't even argue, brother. Like, yeah, dude, that's totally right. Like, And I'm gonna tell you what I think John Jones' number one success is. It's not his reach, which I think is 84, right? It's the longest reach in the UFC, I believe. Fighter IQ, man. Fighter IQ. John Jones is the smartest fighter out here. That's why he's had that great um, uh, career in my mind. Um, and and I tell you, I have the proof. What I think is some of the proof of that. DC fights, both of them. That high head kick, like you can say what you want about PEDs and oh God, he was on PEDs and he beat me. Yeah, he was. But PEDs ain't have nothing to do with how he fooled you with that low to high head kick, brother. Like you just went to block low and got smashed in your head, dude. That's a smart thing. That's not a PED thing. PEDs don't make you smarter, do they? Maybe they do. I don't know. Ooh, 6-0 post USADA. Okay, so can I click this thing? All right, so USADA, man. Here's one thing that I want to say about USADA. Man, it sucks. I have a hole in the shirt, dude. I love this shirt. This is my Kohi, my Claudio shirt. Dude, here's what we got to understand about USADA. USADA's testing is literally piss poor. They're testing urine. That's not going to give you any of the biomarkers that you need. Hey, man, shout out. More plates, more dates, dude. Been watching that guy for years and know quite a bit about that scene right now. And so if you want a good test for PDs, you got to take blood. That's one. And then it's the kind of test you do. Like they do, USADA will tell you whatever testing they do. Derek has done a bunch of videos about the USADA testing. I recommend you go over to his channel, moreplates.com or his channel and check out what he said about USADA. The whole USADA testing thing is a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I mean, it's very clear to me. I've gotten pretty good at seeing those 84 and a half arm reach, y'all. That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't mean to have this whole live stream just MMA heavy, but man, I love it. I love this martial arts. So I'm glad we did that. You know what? What are we doing here? We're about 37 minutes in. I'm gonna give it just a couple more minutes. Maybe we'll go to 40. But it is Saturday morning, and my whole household's gonna wake up soon. So I am gonna get out of here soon. But yeah, man, I love MMA. It's been a great talk. USADA, I could be wrong. Per usual, I could be wrong. I think USADA is a joke. Based on the information I'm getting from Derek at placemoredates.com. I don't like it. No, I just don't. So the USADA thing. Plus, I'm pretty sure I can look at men's physiques as well as women and tell if they're on PEDs. Here's something I will say. I believe Amanda Nunes has been on PEDs forever, but she doesn't have this muscle bound. She doesn't look like Chris Cyborg, right? Chris Cyborg, that's clearly a fighter that's enhanced. That's what we call these fighters, enhanced fighters. I believe that Amanda Nunes has been on PEDs for a long time. I think that's why she was wrecking people like she was, knocking people out. I think the same thing. I think that's how, I'm sorry, I can't think of her name, but I think that's how, what's her name beat Rose Namajunas for that title. She never should have had that title. That little wrestler, I just can't remember her name. She picked up Rose and slammed on her head one time. That did knock her out. But the second time she got that slam, she knocked her clean out. And I totally think that was a force thing. That was a force. How much force can I generate? She did do that. And that's a clear PED thing. That's a case of PEDs helping an enhanced fighter. But Rose was dominating that fight. And we saw where Rose is at now. Let's talk. Let me break that strictly. 144 odds, good value. Any other matches on the card that you see have somebody? Tempo, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not a betting man. I don't bet. I know I talk about betting sometimes, but I don't. Here's what I'll say. No, those are not good odds. I don't think so. Okay, yeah. If I'm a betting man, I don't bet on that fight because it's too close. If I may, the only fights that, I've talked about this before, but me and my buddy were all over Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes. We were all over that. And this last one that happened, I was all over Pena beating Nunes. I was all over that. I called it. And then I had the really bad predictions that next pay per view. So listen, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just a dumb old floor man from Virginia talking to my computer. I don't think it's a good value. It's too close. And I think, honestly, I have not seen enough wrestling from Sean Strickland to say one or the other. And let me say this about Strickland. Eventually, somebody's going to figure out the blueprint, and it's pretty simple. Do not back straight up. When Sean Strickland is coming forward, you must move side to side, catch angles, and throw punches and back out. Okay, that's what you have to do against Sean Strickland, but nobody's figured that out. Everybody that fights in MMA is being kind of silly. Why don't they circle and strike? Circle and strike, move out. Let that man chase you the whole time. You know, it takes a lot of energy to get punched in the face for 5 rounds, whether you're walking forward or not. So those odds are so close, and I'm afraid that we're going to come across a wrestler that has good enough wrestling to just negate that forward pressure. I know I did say it's hard to shoot when you're going backwards, but some of these guys are going to start to move forward on them, and or at the bare minimum, they're going to learn their footwork and move out of the way, as opposed to backing straight up. I don't, guys, you never back straight up, ever. And if you're ever on the offense attacking and your opponent is backing straight up, or you find yourself in a position where you have to defend yourself and your opponent is backing straight up, he does not know what he's doing. So you can take a little confidence in that and be like, well, this guy's an idiot, so I should be able to dispatch of this threat very quickly. There's actually a lot to show here. Let's go. There are a list of like 25ers who weren't on the same, who, let's see, post USADA. Oh yeah, dude. Tyron Woodley is a post USADA fighter. Yeah, Anderson Silva, post USADA fighter. Oh man, just give me a minute. I'll tell you a bunch of them. Rafael Dos Anjos is a post USADA fighter. He was wrecking dudes. Then USADA comes in. So that is very true. Now, I did say USADA is a joke, although his performances has suffered as a leg. Yeah, of course, because the fighter's a little more scared. But hey, I just think there's designer drugs, man. I just think there's designer shit that they're making. Yes, thank you. It was Jessica Andrade. Thank you, dude. That was her. Coming up with all the answers today, CG. You're the man, dude. Helping this stream go really well. Did you see the Ultimate Fighter 30 announcement? Pena versus Nunez. Pena versus Nunez. Pena versus Nunez. Nunez. I did not see that announcement. That's very big. So Nunez has left her gym. Okay, she's left ATT. Her partner, they left, and they're starting their own gym. And I have all the respect in the world for that. I think, like, if you're a fighter at that level, it's fine to go to ATT, but everything better be built around you. Like, I think this is a man that kind of saying, like, I shouldn't have lost that fight. I was too comfortable. Everybody knows my cardio was terrible. Everybody knows I underestimated it. And I think she's got a very high fight IQ, Amanda Nunes. I think Amanda's smart enough to realize, like, she has to separate herself from her comfort level and where she's been at for a few years now, and then try to reinvent. And when I say reinvent, I mean go back to Brazil. I have a feeling, I don't know if she's going to stay in the States or not, but I think that a lot of these Brazilian fighters and Pakistan, Russian fight, all these fighters in Europe, Japan, the Far East, in Brazil, you think USADA's getting on planes and just going over there all the time? Because I sure don't. And you can get things that have fast metabolism periods. So you can have, testosterone, synthetic testosterone that works its way out in just a couple of days, right? Or you can have a synthetic testosterone that hangs around in your system. It's like a time lapse thing, right? So, I mean, if I'm in Russia or Kazakhstan or wherever, and I'm training 8, 9 months out of the year, and I'm only in the States a handful of weeks out of the year to fight, why am I not doing PEDs for 3, 4 months in a row and then taking whatever I need to balance my levels? Because all USADA is doing is taking a P test anyway, mostly. Um, I, you know, and here's another thing: like they have B samples for every fighter. Like they should be going through every sample once a fighter tests out. But anyway, I don't want to go into their policies. Let's see. Did you see the Ultimate Fighter 39? Let's see. I think the Nunes beats Pena in rematch. Suffered again from what we see with Anderson Silva and Jones. These guys win too much and stop caring. I'm going to disagree with you, my friend. I'm going to push back. I don't think she beats Pena again. For the first time. I think Pena has had her number for a long time. And Pena, we saw this with Ronda Rousey, man. People walked in the ring, they're like, I can't beat her. We saw it with Anderson Silva. I can't beat him. Like they were defeated before they walked into the ring, y'all. It takes a special fighter to walk into a ring against all odds and say, that doesn't matter to me. I'm going to hurt this person, Let's see. Appreciate it, CJ. Hey, yes, sir. My guy. Man, it is creeping up on 9 a.m. though. Y'all, this conversation will go all day long. I'm just not going to let it. I'm having a lot of fun, man. You guys are awesome. I just want to say big thank you to CG for all the incredible information. Like, look, Tempo, CG. I know I'm forgetting another. I know, right? I felt like I was. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. That's a lot of MMA talk. We do have yeah, right. What is for breakfast, y'all? I don't know. The other day I went to Waffle House for the first time in probably, I don't know, a year or two. It was really good, man. It's really good. I was like, wow. Forgot how good all this greasy. Yeah, I don't want to say nasty. It tasted really good, So that was good. Maybe Waffle House, dude. It's a good idea. Then McKenna was like, yeah, we should have gone to IHOP, whatever. Anyway, but man, I hope everybody has a great Saturday, dude. And if I can stay up, till after this fight, and I usually like to watch the post-fight pressers too. I like to watch all that stuff. I'll probably stream tomorrow morning about the fights, man. I wanted to talk a little more about Home AV today, but that's fine. I don't care. Like it goes where it wants to go. You guys say what you want to say in the comments section. I love it. It's all about information sharing, man, and just kicking perspectives and ideas back and forth, man. And, learning. I think learning from each other, like I learned from you guys, probably a whole lot more than anybody would learn from me. So, having said that, I think I'm gonna take off and begin my Saturday now. I don't know what that means. I began my Saturday here with y'all, and I loved it. Thanks for the chat. It was interesting. Think this is kind of talk might reel me into MMA. Hey, man. Then I'll be on tomorrow morning. Let's talk a little bit about MMA tomorrow morning because we'll have a lot to talk about. So thank you guys, Tempo, CG, and anybody else. I hope I can get this thing to post to YouTube later on. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I don't even know how it works really, but doesn't matter. Yeah, you know what time it is. As always, thank you all for listening. Be good. Be safe. Boom. I always forget that I gotta. Yeah, boom.